Our journey begins. It's day 55, July 25, 2024, and I'm really excited to get into constructing some narratives. So I'm going to get into that now, and I'll touch base at the end. Thank you. Alright, so I spent most of my time investigating the first narrative of why to question everything. I think I had... so I kind of wrote about all of this stuff. Generally, the idea... So I really nailed down, like, what I actually want to accomplish with this first story. And I sort of thought through what, like, who the character's going to be, how this story is going to relate to the other stories, and essentially how I'm going to tell all these various stories. I think I'm going to do some interesting thing where I'm doing what's called personalized narrative or first-person dramatic monologue, which is essentially where I tell the story as though I am the main character, although I actually I was not the person actually doing that story. But it's telling it in that way, sort of putting yourself in the shoes of the main character and telling the story that way. So I think I'm going to do a series of those. So this first story is going to sort of be a backstory. But I need it to be very interesting because it is the first story. So I've been trying to think through, like, the general scene. In terms of, like, a typical 3-arc story structure, there's, like, the world building, character development, context, and then the confrontation, and then the resolution. And I thought through, like, I understand what that's going to be, but it's still thinking through this scene and really trying to figure out what the scene should be in terms of, I'm just not totally sure. I'm pretty sure it should be like a story within some other individual's life. I mean, that's the way things typically go. Sometimes you have movies and stories that encompass someone's entire life, but a lot of times it's like some particularly interesting time in someone's life, or maybe even like it could be like a couple hours, or it could be a couple years. And I think for something this short, like a 7.5-minute parable, I think it should be reasonably short story, sort of probably end up being sort of the climax part of like, if you were to write a big long book about this particular story, this short story would pretty much only be the climax portion, and then you'd include a little bit of time for setting up the context and everything like that. So I was thinking for a while about all the different ideas you could do, like battles or like adventurous explorations, or like so many different scenes you could set up, but I'm just not sure. So I'm going to review, because I've been crafting short stories for a while, so I'm going to review all of those, and maybe get some inspiration from some. At one point I had gone through like the 100 or 200 most famous science fiction and fiction stories and their premises, and so I have all of those in Notion somewhere, so I'll just find them and review those as well, but really try to imagine a scene. And then from there, it should just be like writing the scene as though that's just the way it happened. And then meanwhile, like pulling in these aspects of the narrative that I want to pull into it. So it is hard, it is tough, but it is the first one. So you really want this to be a really, really compelling first narrative. Like, I think the premise that I have is good. It's just the scene and how the story is going to be told that is obviously the most important part, and the part that I'm going to need to think through some more. All right, thank you. See you tomorrow.